What is an ISDN line? Well, as we learnt in part 1, the PSTN POTS network is the original and underlying telecommunications network, which dates back to the 1800s. This public switch telephone network worked great until around the 1960s, when global commerce began to take over the world and the PSTN POTS line could simply not keep up with advancing technology and more international requirements. You could say it was a victim of globalization. The need for New York to call London was growing, however, the phone line speed was decreasing. You would think the rest would be history and the analog phone would be consigned to the history books. However, it was not until 2 decades later, in 1980s, that things actually started to progress. In 1988, the International Telecommunications Union (ITU), which was founded by the United Nations, the UN, began formally recommending to companies that they should invest in and switch to ISDN networks to communicate and sell their products. Despite this recommendation, the take-up of ISDN networks was slow to begin with and took another decade into the 1990s when bigger corporations eventually offered ISDN channels to companies and people. This in turn brought down global prices and made the ISDN channel the go-to phone service. Of the 90s, as Prince said, let's party like it's 1999. So, the ISDN Integrated Services Digital Network, the keyword being digital, represented the switch from analog phone lines into a new digital service. In the UK, the history of ISDN networks started around 1985, and the ISDN network is run by the British Telecom Group, or more commonly known as BT. Now, an important keynote: the ISDN network actually runs over the original PSTN POTS network. Put simply, an ISDN line is just a digital phone line using the original public switch telephone network. Now, of course, various complicated routing and switching had to occur, as you couldn't just plug into a telephone network switch and expect this to work. This was often a complicated and frustrating process, because you would have to firstly connect your computer to a modem or hub. Then you would have to program it and tell it what phone numbers you wanted it to use. Once that was done, you would then have to set it up to dial your internet service provider ISP, which would give you a particular number that is configured for ISDN access. For this reason, ISDN networks are being phased out for more modern digital connections, such as voice over IP. So, to recap, an ISDN line is just like a digital phone line. AKA, think of your TV before 2012 when television wasn't digitalized and the digital switchover allowed you to access hundreds of channels when before you could only access a handful, and all you needed was a little digital Freeview box. The television digital switchover is akin to the ISDN and PSTN POTS line switchover to more digital technologies. In the United Kingdom, there is a target date of 2025 for this big ISDN PSTN switch off, meaning telephone calls will be routed through a fully digital service using Internet Protocol (IP). The most common forms of IP technology are Voice over IP and SIP (Session Initiation Protocol). In our next video, we shall discuss these two IP technologies in a lot more detail, so stay tuned to ensure you do not miss the video by liking and subscribing to this channel if you have not already. And thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed today's content as much as I enjoyed creating it.